Hey, Nat.
Hey, Beck.
Happy summer. Let's talk lists.
It's true. Everybody's got a list these days. Like best sandals, best sunscreen,
Yes.
best zit cream to deal with the best sunscreens.
I know best books that deal with a certain theme.
Specifically to be read on like a dock or something.
Yeah. Best doc books. That's true. Best camping essays.
Is that a thing? That must be a thing. It's
I just
totally
made
a
it
thing.
up, but I'm sure it's a thing.
You should pitch that.
So we have decided we're just jumping on this and we are going to make our own summer series of Reframeables lists. Yes?
Yes. And we've chosen 4 different themes:
Tell me.
water, heat, nostalgia, and growth.
Love it.
And we're going to curate more than just simple lists for all of our beloved listeners.
We are not simple people.
No.
So we're going to share a poem, a favorite song related to the theme, and then
either essays or texts. We're going writ large here.
And some fun summer items as well, building on our life hacks and enhancer series that we do over on Patreon.
Yeah. Because we think that it's important that, there is something empowering in a good list, that you don't have to do all the thinking for yourself, that somebody else could do a little bit of thinking for you, and you just dive in.
And you just go to this list for inspiration, or what? What would be another reason?
Yeah, I think it really is about, it's not just inspiration. It's like inspiration and then the ability to then do at the behest of someone else's direction. I love a list. So that's what we're doing.
Yep. So dive in with us, as they say on Twitter.
Oh, no, they often say buckle up.
Oh, buckle up.
I hate it, but we're doing it. Okay,
Buckle
team?
up.
Buckle up. We're diving into our first Reframeable summer list about water.
Dum, 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 dum.
Okay, so Nat, just as we start the summer list, because this is a very different summer for you.
It is.
Do tell.
So I retired, literally, like left a 20-year career with the TDSB.
Did you hear my big sigh? Like I'm like exhaling with you.
Is it like an exhale that feels like, is there any sort of mournful anything in there, or is it an exhalation of just relief, or what is it for you?
It's definitely
of
not
me.
It's definitely not mournful.
No.
I think it's an exhale of what will this new chapter look like when you aren't so carrying the load that teachers carry for their students, I guess.
Yeah.
Like you've been carrying a big care load, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Absolutely. I mean, I think that the caregiving load is intense in so many different professions, and teaching is one of them. So that's for sure. What does it look like to offer care outside of teaching is definitely something I have to now ponder. Thus, a summer list for me, because I want to actually kind of engage in like thinking and doing that is maybe not teaching based, even though I'm still teaching this summer. I got a job with Yorkville University. I'm in their Fac of Ed teaching master's students. So I'm still doing teaching, but it just looks really different. Adult education is a whole different world. It's very much sort of on their time. So I feel like that means I have some time to do. I mean, we don't have a doc, but I'm going to do some doc reading.
So is there an element of teaching in our list?
Oh, that's interesting. I think so. I think that like
we're always teaching each other.
Yeah, exactly. And if other people listen in and feel like they've got some direction to take, then that's pedagogy in action. So why not?
And please share your own items back with us. That would be so exciting.
It's true. I don't think that you and I spend all of our time doing this work together simply to hear our own voices. It's why we interview so many guests, right? Because it's so much fun to kind of listen and learn from other people. But the idea of the back and forth, the interplay with our Reframeables community really is really exciting.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
you and I get really amped when somebody leaves a comment on like Instagram or Twitter. Where I get really excited is when somebody likes something or makes a little comment on TikTok. Because for some reason, it makes me feel like I've made an inroad into like a whole new genre of person. Because TikTok's its own animal.
Yeah.
But you know what? So on our first thing on our list, our water list, would relate back to TikTok and Instagram, because this poet, that's where she became really famous.
Right. Okay. And one thing is, we're just side note, we're experimenting with video, and I don't think you need to look at sideways, Nat. You just look straight.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try that.
That's better.
All
It's because
right.
you intensely want to connect with me, and I'm right here. I can hold hands. Just like I was reading that in a book last night. Yeah. Just my hand. They can just touch. Okay, sorry. Our first poem, Rupi Kaur.
Yep.
I don't read a lot of Rupi Kaur, although I do love their poetry.
Well, and my students really read a bunch of their work and would always bring it into class as like thought prompts that they had come across. So it says to me that a younger generation of reader is really drawn to Rupi Kaur.
So as we discovered, we certainly cannot read the whole poem, but this
because of copyright stuff.
But this poem, Home. So go look up the poem Home
by Rupi Kaur.
But the first line, I dive into the well of my body and end up in another world.
And then she goes on to talk about how everything she needs exists in herself. Which reminds me of that conversation we had with Asha Frost. Because part of her practice, right, as an Indigenous healer, was the recognition that medicine was found in herself. So it seems really aligned.
Yeah, I have to sit with it. I dive into the well of my body and end up in another world.
Feels very empowering. I could see why a bunch of 18-year-olds are like, okay, I'm going to do this.
I will do that. I will dive into my... And actually, that's what's making me go off on another train to the... What were you just telling me about? This feels like an intense way to dive into your own body where you dab.
Oh, yeah. Jennifer Gunter, that doctor, that gynecologist who's really, really famous online. She wrote the Vagina Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that it's now become a TikTok trend to dab vaginal fluid on your neck
as like
a perfume.
Okay.
Yeah. Because somebody out there decided that that would be sort of like a way to draw people in. And she's like, we don't operate at that level. We're not animals in the same way. So whatever you're doing, it's not doing the thing you think it's doing. But so that's where you went with diving into
it certainly would be a way to dive into your own body. No?
Yes, true.
By the way, yes, we're in a car. Yes, it's raining. Yes, we're at the farm. No, the weather isn't super summery. But Nat, you said you found that exciting.
I do. I don't know. I find it all like campy.
But yeah, it does feel like camp.
Like not Met Gala camp, but like, literally camp. Like I open the door and I smell green. So that's also water-based. Not a part of the list. Offshoot of the list.
Okay. But back to the list. So our first one was the Rupi Kaur poem, Home.
Mm-hmm.
So go look that up. Dive into your own body.
As you will.
As you will. Number 2.
Okay, this was a song that you discovered by Billie Eilish called Ocean Eyes.
Which we probably all know that song. And
I didn't. You knew it when you heard it? Yeah, I totally didn't know.
We're huge Billie Eilish fans in our
household.
Car. That's where you listen to music together. She recorded the song at 13.
Yeah, her voice, man, it's like an old soul. Because that does not sound like a 13-year-old singer to me. I mean, her brother wrote it, right? Phineas wrote it.
Yeah. But the chorus goes, can't stop staring at those ocean eyes, burning. This one's not burning, it's burning cities and napalm skies. 15 flares inside those ocean eyes. Ocean eyes.
There is something really lovely about that water imagery, but also like Okay, I'm not going to stop looking at you because it's really tempting. But
Yeah, you just go now. I'm right here. You speak right
I'm
to me.
going to just do this. I have to move my. No, you know what? See. Anywho, Rebecca, I think that there's just something really innocent. The love in that song is just like so purely about the other. That I mean, she's talking about napalm. That's not a good thing, and she's 13. So there's just so much wrong with what's happening in the lyrics, and yet the beauty of just this summer crush, of just being so in love. I remember being 15 and us being in, oh my gosh, South Carolina, and there was this lifeguard on the beach, and he was 17 and I was 15, and that was just the most exciting thing in the world, that we were flirting every time I would just walk past his chair. So it sort of has that. You were 13, so
what was I doing in South Carolina?
You were reading or something, which is great. But I was busy flirting with the lifeguard in his ocean eyes. It was really lovely. So I don't know. There's something kind of glittery about that song in a strange way.
Yeah. Before life gets all
complicated.
Yeah. Young love.
So maybe there's something to sit in that, right? There's just sort of like, can the summer be a time to just sort of revel in the beauty of nice weather? And you know that it's hard for me to relax. So this is to me a really good goal.
Yeah, we had this conversation this weekend where you were talking about, which I appreciated. It was funny, but how hard it is to get into the right position to relax.
Mm-hmm. Well, my foot hurts right now, just as a side note. So it's very interesting. Like I am.
But this isn't relaxed. We're not even trying right now. Right?
We're making art.
That's right. But on like sitting on a dock, even.
Yeah. No, it's
takes
all hard.
Effort to make sure you're all lathered up appropriately, and then you can.
And then embrace the moment.
For more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, that is complicated.
Our
for me.
spouses are very good at relaxing.
Yeah, they know how to better just lean into it. Lean into relaxation. So maybe that specific Billie Eilish song can help somebody else to lean into the beautiful, glittery, summery, a moment of rest. So Ocean Eyes.
Ocean Eyes.
Yep.
Okay, number 3 is a summer item that we discovered on the beach yesterday. We met a friend at the beach, and she showed up with all these fun things, and one of them, it's called, okay?
Because you looked it up.
According to Canadian Tire.
Yep.
That's where you go to get it, and that's where I am going. I'm getting one. The Ogo Sport Ogo Disc Mini Kids 2-player bouncy flying disc frisbee and koosh ball set. That might be the key phrase right there.
Koosh
ball set. Okay?
That just takes me back to the Gunter.
That's true. And then you do a dab of your vaginal fluid on your neck before you play.
Oh, goodness.
The koosh ball set. It's okay. The name is funny and it's fun because it's like you're doing. Like, how do you describe it, Nat? It's like catch, but use frisbee discs
that have just sort of like netting on them, and then they are supposed to.
And then the ball is
coochie,
like hairy. It's coochie. It's like a hairy cooch ball, but it's kind of fun because it's
halfway between catch and badminton.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and you can't hit it too hard, or you won't achieve it.
Yeah, I think that the highest back and forth, the volley, the rally that was 9, right?
Something like 9.
I think it was Clifford.
It's hard to get past.
Elsie they got to 9.
Or maybe it was Simon and I, because I'd like to think we won.
Oh, okay. Well, good for you.
But that's pretty fun. So I sometimes get bored of playing frisbee with Simon on the beach, but this you could work up a sweat. It felt kind of exciting.
It was a fun challenge. It was a nice way to be on the beach together.
And it wasn't really about skill so much. Like, frisbee is actually, it's good if you have some technique, which I don't necessarily feel like mastering.
Right.
But this was just.
It did feel quite idyllic. It was the kind of thing that if we had caught a little bit of time on the camera, it would have been really great content.
Caught some time on the camera.
But what instead
Nat, by the way, thank you for being our content creator. I really feel like the burden falls to you, and you're so good at it.
But I didn't end up getting any of that
didn't?
content because I was just enjoying watching. You went so hard for that one shot.
Oh yeah,
that you literally ended up with sand in your teeth. It was brilliant.
I did it, and it's not graceful to dive into the sand. I should just say you really go in with a thud, like the sand.
But it was amazing.
But when you see these beach volleyball players, that was new for me to realize that it's not like a graceful slide. Like the sand, like boop.
Yeah, you did stop you. Yeah.
So many new things
in your
I'm
mouth.
learning. In my mouth. Yeah.
Okay, but it's a very fun
koosh ball set.
Yeah, definitely a win. Okay, another thing that we've come across that for the parents in the group or anybody with young children that they want to be just sort of like continuing to build their reading collection over the summer was an illustrated children's book called We Are Water Protectors. And it's by Carol Lindstrom, who's a member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe. And then the artist is Michaela Goad, who's a member of the Central Council of the Tlingit of Haida Indian Tribes of Alaska. So it's definitely got a south of the border vibe happening. But there was a Marginalian article. So anybody who follows, what did she used to be called? This is Maria Popova.
Brain picking.
Which
is great, actually, right there. If that's
something to grab hold of. Yeah.
Too.
But she now calls her blog the Marginalian. And she was focusing on this book. So
she always highlights books.
Yes.
And connections between books, which are really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And so she had chunks of the art sort of showcased on this Marginalian article that we will obviously link in the show notes. But so We Are the Water Protectors it just describes a very female-focused celebration of cultural heritage, but the courage to stand up for nature, but water, specifically water.
And we were thinking about that yesterday as we're sitting on these dunes at sandbanks, and they've put up new fences to keep, I think, really to let the dunes grow back, so you can't go as far back on the beach now. And it was nice to see that
yep.
Nature being protected, and we have the opportunity to be good stewards of
yep.
nature and pick up our garbage on the beach. It seems so simple. Pick up a few other pieces of garbage while you're at it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it was kind of wild, right? Because last summer when we were there as a family, I mean, we all really wanted the shade, right? And so those trees were available to us for shade.
We wanted to get right in there and
crush
whatever
everything.
Nature needed to be crushed so we could be in the shade. Yeah.
Well, and not even recognizing that part of the beach was fragile. So it's not like, it's almost like you need to see the barrier to recognize how you could be potentially interrupting something that needs to grow. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't know what it is, how do you know? So it's like learning. So that's what this reading is all about. I think that book, I loved the visuals. I loved clicking on that Marginalian article and sort of seeing how she was unpacking the text.
And this idea of the black snake.
Tell me about that part. I forget that
was
part.
In the book that she keeps referencing the danger is the black snake. So I wasn't sure exactly if that was referring to humans, white people.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, please
read
like
it. The colonizer.
Yeah, please read it and
yeah.
weigh in.
So that's obviously moving from slightly more kind of like whimsical glittery into I don't know, more teacherly, right? Like that was the more kind of pedagogical component of our list.
And then our final thought, I guess it's a thought prompt really, is I think maybe it came out of a conversation we had where I was having a lot of trouble getting into the water this weekend.
That's true.
Just being afraid of the cold. Just being wimpy or something. But then you were just saying, just dive in.
Yeah. Or like dip your
or
toe
what
in.
can be found in this other experience of water if you just, instead of holding back from the water, you just go towards it. And risk. Really.
Yeah. Risk. I think that's beautiful. Like whether you're diving in or just dipping your toe, whatever is the way that works for you, but get wet. Get wet. And then embrace whatever change comes with the water. I think that was sort of like the little life lesson I was giving to myself anyways this weekend. Didn't Violet say, you make ice packs with water? Like it changes form. Like that was sort of a superpower of water from her perspective, which I think is so great.
Although she was also repeating last night, the shower of shame. I don't know where it came from. That's not what we want.
We can unpack that one later.
They're watching sports and yelling at. But I also would say, even to myself, if I recognize that I'm holding back from the water for some reason, whatever that image metaphor is for you, that noticing that I'm holding back is also a thing, is also an important step. As my therapist would say, just notice. If you're noticing, you're 3/4 of the way there.
That's beautiful.
So I see myself holding back from the life-enhancing possibility of water. Now I can choose to move towards it.
I like this series, Becca. I think I'm not going to turn to look at you, but I really like this
I'm here,
series.
hold your neck. This is my
Holding
hand.
your hand.
Finding your hand.
In both of our cameras. But yeah, I think this is fun. I think this is really, for, if nothing else, for me to come up with a list that allows me to just ponder
Poetry.
slowly. Yeah.
Children's books. Music.
Art in general. And
Cooch.
then the odd the odd toy
balls.
from Canadian Tire.
Okay, happy summer. I love you.
Love you.